What's going on YouTube? Today I'm really excited to show you guys my review of the 3700 series Plano Guide Series tackle bag. This is the XL one. This is Plano's biggest tackle bag that they ever made. So I've had it about 2 years now, so I want to give you guys an honest review of what I think of the bag so far. So let's jump into it. Alright, so starting with the outside of the bag. This thing is constructed with denier, like 188D denier. I don't know the specifics anyway. But it's basically canvas is what it is. So it's super rugged, super tough. The thing I really like about that, and just talking about that in general, is when I've had hooks around or near this thing, they don't get hooked up in the actual fabric itself, like I've had happen with a lot of cheaper low-end bags. So not to say that that's a huge benefit, but it is definitely nice. It doesn't get stained well. It doesn't stain very easily anyway. And then the other thing too is cuts, scrapes, that kind of stuff. It can take it, and it's built for beating around environments. So the other thing about it too is the zipper itself is like an oversized zipper. So it's not a real thin zipper, and they're all the plastic zippers, which is a huge thing on these. On some of the other bags you get online, I've noticed as well that they use like the metal zippers. Well, that doesn't work well with us in the water and that kind of thing. So they work really, really well, up and down with the oversized zippers as well. Moving from the outside of the bag and the zippers, the bottom side of this thing is actually like a molded plastic piece, very tough, and then it's got rubber stops on the bottom of it as well. It does two things for you. It keeps the shape of this bag really nicely. I hate bags that just kind of flop and then they fall over because they don't really have anything strong on the base side of things. And that rubber really acts almost like a Yeti cooler. If you have one of those, you know what I'm talking about, where it really sticks, and it's not sliding around, and it's wherever you kind of set it, that's where it's going to be. So that's a really nice thing about it. I've talked about this before. When it comes to tackle bags, this one was kind of a jumping off point for me when it came to the idea of it, but I really don't like tackle bags that have a bunch of stuff hanging off of the pockets or on the outside of it. And I'm going to show you my other bag here that I've actually gotten rid of from my collection, is this one here. It's got a bunch of this stuff that hangs off on the front and on the sides, and you can see where it wants to fall forward. Where this one kind of sits where it wants to sit, or how it sits. It doesn't really matter how I load things in there, it stays grounded, and it's a nice square box with nothing on the outside that can get hung up other than obviously the strap. Now, moving into that strap, I will say yes, it is kind of gets in the way at times, because it is unremovable. It is mounted to the bag, but there is one good feature about that, it being mounted to the bag. I've had where the clips that they put on the straps of this thing, they break, or they make these really kind of thinned out, and then this will kind of these de-looped things slide to one side, and then you kind of have it crunched up to one side. This one hasn't done that to me, and this thing is loaded down. This is a very heavy bag for me because of everything that I put in it. So it's kind of a bonus, kind of a not so bonus. The other thing too is there's no handle straps to this thing. So this is really the only strap for this bag, other than the kind of grab holders on either side, which I don't really recommend using much other than when you're trying to move it from position to position. That's the only thing that I can say about that. It does, however, have, I didn't want to hit on this yet, but I will now because we're talking about straps. It does on the back side, you have a zipper that opens up, and then you have straps that you can turn this into a backpack if need be. And it does have the removable clips, so it packages away. This is a great add-on feature. However, I will say I have carried this thing around on my back for multiple days, for multiple hours. Trekking, I was at a campsite that had multiple lakes, and I didn't have my boat with me, and so I would carry this thing around from all the different spots that I went to. It is the most uncomfortable bag to carry around on your back, and I will say that blatantly because yes, I have a lot of weight in there, but the width of this bag And the way that these line up, no matter where you put this on your back, this bottom plastic piece just dives directly into your lower back, and it's not how I would recommend carrying it. If you can, use the strap, but like I said, I was using the strap. I was going from in the brush, that kind of thing, with 2 rods. It became a little bit cumbersome, so I did switch to the backpack mode, but I paid for it later. Bruises on my shoulders, all that kind of stuff. So it's there. However, I would say this is definitely not a backpack bag. This is more or less for the person like myself that uses this primarily on a boat or something of that nature. If you don't like loading up your boat and leaving all your gear on your boat, like I do. I take all my stuff out of the boat at the end of the season, or even from trip to trip, because my boat switches from bass boat to kokanee to trout, whatever. So you can fold those up in there a little bit nicer. Usually I'll keep like a copy of the reg book in there or something of that nature. Moving around the front, I do multiple different things that most people don't. I've used these are the rod holders, and they zip up and they kind of package away like this one is here. And then you have like a Velcro strap that goes on the top of the rod. They work great. Like I said, when I have this thing on my boat and I need a couple extra rod holders, I definitely do throw a couple of rods in there. When I'm not using it like I am now, I got my fish grippers. Maybe I stick my scale or a pair of pliers down this side. So I will say the fact that they zip away is kind of a nice feature too. This, however, is the only thing that on this bag that my hooks really get hooked into. And it's kind of a nightmare to get rid of. I wish this was like a rubberized material. So I think this bag retails in at like $179.99, or however they do that. I think for the amount of money that you spend on this bag, you're still getting a really, really, really good bag. However, like I said, there is some pros and cons to it, depending on how you're using the bag. Now, my review is more aimed towards the way that I use it. So take a note that if you're going to use it for not being on a boat and you are going from lake to lake, understand that those are the limitations that this bag has. I have paired this bag myself with the Plano Edge boxes because they fit so well in this bag. I mean, it's built for it. Obviously, Plano made their stuff for their bags, or for their boxes. So this here has got my terminal tackle box in it. I like that one front and center. It drops in there nicely. It does, however, have a spot in there so you can put your name tag, and then there's like a little kind of hideaway pocket, I would assume, for your license or whatever you want in there. I keep a couple extra J hooks in there that I haven't put in my terminal tackle box. Anyway, that one's really nice for the quick access one. It's got a double zipper on it, like this one does. I will say, I really wish this double zipper was on the sides of the bags as well. This one, however, only has one zipper that goes front to back. I understand why they did that, because they think that you're going to run everything off the front. But it would be nice to have the option to have the double zippers, because I just prefer it that way. Anyways, I keep my jig box off to the side here. All of these ones on the sides, I believe these are the 3600s that I have on the side and on the front of the bag. This one, I don't have another 3600 on this side. I more or less use this for extra gear, or I use this for like parts and pieces. I've got in here extra jigs made up on my live streams. If you ever guys want to come join me on my live streams, my old man makes jigs. I make twitching jigs for salmon fishing. So, and I sometimes give them away. So make sure you catch into that. Anyway, I keep my extra parts and pieces in this one. It's kind of like a catch-all pocket for me. Again, I wish that I had a double zipper on this one, but having it front to back is the only way they have on the sides. You do have a couple of drop pockets on the either side here for, little things that you don't want to quite put in your bag yet. However, it's nice for, like I said, drop pockets or thin items like a second set of tweezers, or in my case, it looks like I got a pair of J-braid scissors in the side pocket. Anyway, moving into the main part of the bag, I would say There is one big key feature that they really hit on the top of this bag. That is at the drop zone that they have on the top. So what this does, I'm sure you guys are pretty well understand kind of without me explaining what that does, but if you have something like a jig or something like that, and you put that lure on the top of this bag, basically what that means is when I tip this forward, it's been magnetized to the top of that. I like it. I like that feature from time and again. However, I've done a thing where I get 2 or 3 sitting up here so they're not floating around on my boat. I go to flip this over and then I forget about it and I flip it back over. Sometimes they hang out, sometimes they don't. It's a nice feature. I don't really know how I feel about that one, but it is cool at times. So I do, however, want to hit on the dimensions of this bag. It is 19.5 wide, 12.5 in depth, and then 14.5 tall. So it's like I said, it's a big bag. It's the biggest one they made. But I really, 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 really can't think anything better than this bag when it comes to an on-boat tackle bag. The other thing cool about this one is it's got the MOLLE paneling all over it, like I'm sure you guys already saw. So you can really customize it to do whatever you need it to do if you have other stuff that you want to hang off this thing. So it's a good jumping off point to kind of mix it however you see fit, or the way you need it. But opening up to the main pocket, again, I stay with the Plano edge boxes in here as well, except for one that I'm eventually going to switch out. I do have a box ready to switch out once I'm done with this one, but I still have some just rubber plastics in here that I want to use up before I get to that point. This in here, these boxes are 3700 series as well. I've got most of my top water, my crankbaits, some other kind of mixed odds and ends in here on this box as well. Here, I haven't really kind of organized that one well yet. Crankbaits are so hard for me to figure out a good way of organizing those, and I really don't like those lure locks by boxes. I really want to stick with these edge boxes. I think they're the best out there. That one handle opening is something that I've carried out through the rest of my tackle bags, through all my other styles of fishing. Then going into what I use most of the time for smallmouth bass and that kind of stuff is like lipless cranks and jerk baits. Those are my favorite lures for fishing in my waters. This again is the 3700 series. This is kind of an older box. I think they actually kind of did away with this one. This style of tackle bag or tackle box, and I can see why. The pins that you can put in there and kind of organize these as is are just low enough that if you were to twist this one over, all of those lures would get disorganized and become like a pile down here. There was too much of a space at the top. So what I ended up doing with this one is I pulled this yellow kind of knobby piece that you see here out and put a bunch of cardboard underneath there to kind of raise that bottom panel up to the top of the box, so that way they'd stay all in place. And now they stay right where they want to be, or where I want them to be anyway. So like I said, pros and cons of that one. This one, however, I can't take credit for. I did see this when I was doing my own research of this bag online, that another guy was using, and I thought it was such a great idea. This is a gigantic box right here. This is their blade bait box. This is all for those spinner baits and that kind of stuff. They had dividers for that. However, he was not using it, and I'm not using it for that at all. I think it's a huge waste of space if you're using it for that. I use this one for all of my soft plastics. I've got tons and tons and tons of soft plastics in here organized away because I have a lot of them. I've got a lot of soft plastics in here. I've got, some Kitex in the corner, but it's a nice little, the dividers in themselves, I can divide them into different ways. Like I got craws, lizards, and Kitex on this side, drop shots, whatever you want to do to organize it. I've gotten it obviously out of organization because I've just jam-packed it full with all of the soft plastics I have in here so far. But I have opted to go with this instead of a bunch more little boxes because I really don't have that many hard baits, and I use a lot of soft plastics. So that's the main reason for this one, and I'm able to carry a lot more than any other box, and it's watertight as well. The other thing too is it's got these holders on either side, so I can kind of grab it like so, But I've come to find out when it's in my box like this, one of the sides has this kind of little divoted pocket in it like this. And what happens is it's honestly, it's great. After a long day, you've been fishing, I've got a bunch of baits on my boat. What I end up doing is I just toss them in my bag. They sit in this little area. And then when I open my bag, when I get home to reorganize everything in after a day of fishing, it's all right here and they all stay in the top little pocket here. So kind of a double feature there. And then it's got that holder on the side so I can just pull that whole thing out. So as me and Mike are fishing on the boat, that whole thing usually comes out, sits in the boat somewhere, and he picks through whatever he wants, and I pick through what I want for the day. The inside of this bag, like I said, there's no frillies. Hold on, pull this stuff down. There's no frillies in it. It's a little dirty, but it's just a big empty pocket, and you can really customize and organize it however you want. There's no pockets inside or anything like that, but it is foam cord with a little bit more fabric on the inside. Keeps them, I will say, when I was in Eastern Washington, the heat was really, really getting bad. I had all my soft plastics in here. I've had bags in the past where the bag gets so hot. I had a black bag before. The bag got hot in the sun. I didn't realize it, and a couple of my bags of soft plastics became nice melted bags of soft plastics. This with the foam fill, it stayed nice and tempered in here. Not, cold, but it stayed nice and tempered in here, so that way my soft plastic stayed and not melted little mess. So I can't say much more about this bag other than it is, like I said, it's definitely high up on there on the price point. And it is definitely something that if you're really getting into the sport and you wanted something that would hold everything that you'd need for the day, it's not a small expense by any means possible, but especially the way that I've done it with these edge boxes. But again, nobody has to copy anything that I do. This is just the way I do it, and I feel like it would help out somebody that was on the other end of where I was when it was coming time to look at a new tackle bag, and I wanted to look at this one. So I hope this review helps you. After, like I said, real quick, I'll go over an overview of the bag. After about 2 years of owning it, I really have not had any downsides to it. My salmon bag, my trout bag, my other fishing bags have all seen many, many changes. Where once I found this one for my bass bag, I was well happy with it, and I never really changed it or needed to change it ever since. So, and you're looking at a bag that's roughly about 2.5, maybe even 3 years old at this point. And it's been brutalized. It goes from the back of my truck, loaded with gear, and into the boat, back into my truck, goes out onto a bank somewhere. When I was fishing out in Eastern Washington, it would sit out on the bank for days, for a day or two. It really, really, really does take the beating and then just kind of keep going. He said, I think the pros of this bag definitely outweigh the cons. So if you're in the market and you want something like this, I'll make sure to link it down in the descriptions below. And I'll link most of the stuff down in the descriptions below as well if you ever wanted to take a piece of what I do and make it your own. But if you like this video and you want to subscribe, I really would appreciate it. At the moment, I'm at 250 and some change on subscribers, so we're making it up there. I'm really proud of what I've done so far, so I just want to keep trucking, and I really like doing these gear reviews, and I think they do well on my channel as well. I have a lot of different gear, so if you have any suggestions of what you'd like to see next, I would love to give you a review of anything in the future. So peace. Thanks, guys.